When my ex-wife Rachel sat across from me in that courtroom, I could see it in her eyes. She thought she'd already won. Her new husband, Tom, sat beside her, smug grin glued to his face like he was starring in some courtroom drama. But this wasn't a movie. This was my life, the one they'd tried to rip apart. We were there to settle the last piece of our messy divorce, ownership of our old house. The home I'd built from the ground up, literally, because I was a contractor, and every beam, nail and floorboard had passed through my hands. But Rachel had a plan. She claimed I'd forged documents, that I'd hidden money, that the house should belong solely to her. And Tom, who'd married her barely 6 months after our divorce, sat there nodding along, smirking every time my lawyer spoke. I'd stayed silent through it all. Not because I was weak, but because I had proof. Let me back up a bit. When Rachel and I got married, we were young and broke, but full of dreams. I started my construction business, while she handled finances. She said she wanted to support me, but what she really did was keep everything in her name. I trusted her. So when I finally landed a big contract, I didn't notice she was slowly moving money from our joint account to her personal one. By the time I did, she was gone. She took the money, filed for divorce, and left me with almost nothing. The court had ruled fair division back then, but she got most of the assets, including half the house. I didn't fight it. I just wanted peace. Until a year later, when she decided to sell the house without my consent, claiming she was the sole owner. That's when I took her to court. The hearing started simple. Her lawyer presented neatly printed documents, proving she was the sole title holder. Tom whispered jokes into her ear, both of them laughing like kids who thought they were untouchable. Then it was my turn. My lawyer stood, calm and steady. "Your Honor," he began, "my client would like to submit newly discovered documents." Rachel rolled her eyes. "More excuses, huh?" she muttered loud enough for everyone to hear. But then the judge leaned forward as my lawyer handed over the folder. Inside were original property records, not the digital copies Rachel had forged. They bore my signature, my notary seal, and most importantly, the construction permit with my name as the registered builder and owner. "Mr. Dawson," the judge asked, looking at me, "where did you find these?" "I kept every blueprint and permit I ever filed, Your Honor," I said. "You can change digital records, but not signed paper." Rachel's smirk cracked. Her lawyer started flipping through papers, pale as chalk. "Your Honor," he stammered, We weren't aware of." The judge cut him off. "You mean you didn't verify your own evidence?" Tom shifted uncomfortably, whispering to Rachel. She shot him a glare. For once, the arrogance drained from her face. Then my lawyer added, "We also have an affidavit from the county clerk confirming that the digital record was modified last year from a different IP address, traced to the home address of Mrs. Rachel Carter." The courtroom went silent. Tom froze. Rachel looked like she'd been punched. The judge leaned back. "So, Mrs. Carter, you submitted falsified records to this court?" I didn't know," she sputtered. "Tom helped me with." But Tom jumped in. "That's not true. You said." They started arguing right there, voices overlapping, their lawyer trying to calm them down. The judge banged the gavel once. "Enough. This is contempt and potential fraud. We'll reconvene after review, but for now, the property remains under Mr. Dawson's sole ownership." Everything flipped in an instant. When the session ended, Rachel avoided my eyes. Tom stormed out first, slamming the door behind him. Rachel stayed behind for a second, maybe hoping I'd say something. I didn't. I just stood there, watching as the bailiff handed her the court notice requiring her to appear for investigation. She looked at me and whispered, "You always knew how to make me look like the bad guy." I replied quietly, "You didn't need my help for that." Weeks later, the investigation confirmed everything. Rachel and Tom had indeed altered the property documents using falsified records from a shared computer. They were fined heavily, and the judge ruled in my favor. The house was fully mine. A few months after that, I put it up for sale, not out of spite, but to finally close that chapter. I used the money to expand my business and buy a small cabin by the lake. Peaceful, simple, mine. Sometimes I still think about that courtroom. The laughter, the arrogance, the way they thought they could crush me. But life has a way of turning quietly in your favor when you stop fighting with anger and start fighting with truth. I didn't win because I was clever. I won because I stayed honest when they didn't. And now, when people ask me how it felt watching everything flip that day, I just smile and say, it felt like justice, slow, steady, and worth every second of silence I held.